You are listening to The World as I See It podcast. 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 Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The World as I See It podcast. I am super excited for today's episode because we have a very special guest. Today, I'm sitting down with Kevin, the director of S.O.A.R. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
You're welcome.
To get us started, can you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Kevin Hollinger. I am the director of the S.O.A.R program at the Lighthouse for the Blind in St. Louis. That program's been in existence since 2006. It actually started 1 year before that, but I've taken it for the past 20 years. My full-time job is working in a school district as a teacher of the visually impaired and an ADA coordinator. And I've been in education for about this is entering my 28th year.
Wow. So you started S.O.A.R 20 years ago. Why did you start it? And what was the idea behind creating this program?
The idea was to truly build capacity for the next generation of the workforce at the Lighthouse for the Blind. So the Lighthouse for the Blind is an employer of individuals who are visually impaired, and they have employees who are also not visually impaired. But the idea was, what can we do to help young people become more employable? So back in 2006, and even here we are in 2026, we recognize that there are a lot of barriers for employment for people that are legally blind. So this program was birthed out of the idea that let's do some things to help young folks get a job. We recognized back in 2006 that not a lot of young people were going off to college, and those that do go off to college, the statistics are not great for their completion of a degree. Actually, only about 16% of people that are legally blind graduate with a 4-year degree.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of young people look at that and get very discouraged by that percentage. While others look at it and say, I'm not going to be a part of that 16%, or I want to be a part of the 16%, right? So the idea is to promote confidence by building independent living skills and mainly address orientation mobility. So orientation, where you are, mobility, how you get around, what we consider travel skills, because we find that is the primary barrier for a lot of people, that if they're not on a person's elbow, they don't have the independent skills. So the idea was to provide one-on-one instruction and really offer some intensive services to supplement the school system. And then finally, the real genesis of the program also was to promote peer-to-peer relationships, right? To help young people have the opportunity to be around others that are visually impaired who are experiencing life maybe in a little bit of a different way. That would encourage each other to move forward in the areas of employment, post-secondary training, and things like that. So,
No, I really love that. S.O.A.R, when I went, it was actually like amazing. So since it has been 20 years, how has the program changed and evolved from when you first started it?
yeah, so the idea hatched long ago during a meeting with myself, John, who was the president of the Lighthouse for the Blind at that time, and a gentleman named Dave, who was the president of the St. Louis Society for the Blind at the time. And again, we sat down and we talked about what's missing, right? In the St. Louis area, what program is missing? We have agencies serving babies, we have the school system, we have adult agencies, we have an employment, and we found that this program was needed. So what ended up happening is John and myself and a lady by the name of Angie York, who is really an amazing person, has walked step by step with me for 20 years to develop this program. We traveled around the country and we started looking at programs like this, trying to find out, can we build something? And to be honest with you, we didn't really like what we found. We felt like we wanted to do something different. So that is what birthed At the time, it was called STEP, STEP, and then morphed into SOAR, SOAR. And that started with a day long, or I'm sorry, a week long day program only, where we drove around St. Louis, picked up a bunch of kids, brought them to society, and then we did the instruction and small group meetings and guest speakers, but it was only for a week. And then we figured out right away, wow, that is not enough.
Yeah.
STEP's name incorporated the summer technology and employment program. And we figured out really quickly that most of the young people were great with tech, right? A lot of times
Hmm.
we can hand somebody a new device and they can learn it on their own quicker than I could teach it, as a teacher of the visually
Hmm.
impaired or an AT specialist. So then we started with the APH TOTE system, TOTE, which was a transition system talking about organization and resumes and things like that. And the American Printing House for the Blind had this great kit. And so we did that in 2007. But once again, it came back to the young people did not have activities of daily living, which we call ADLs,
Hmm.
and their orientation mobility skills were very, very, very poor and not at a level that was needed to transition into adulthood. So in 2008, the program became a 3 week residential program. We started partnering with Webster University, which has been a wonderful, wonderful partnership
Hmm.
for many, many, many years. And then we changed the name back in about 2014 to include more of a focus on orientation mobility again, because we were finding professional shortages. A lot of young people didn't have access to an O&M. A lot of our participants come from rural areas where they don't have the travel experiences of APS and public transit and big intersections. So we wanted the focus to be more on O&M. So basically, I'm saying is in the past 20 years, it started as kind of a small idea happening for 5 days, and now we've morphed into 21 days, a staff of 23 people, and we've touched lives of over 250 young people experiencing vision loss.
Wow. It has changed a lot.
Yes, it has.
So there are listeners who are, you know, blind or visually impaired, and they may not know what S.O.A.R is. So, they tune into this podcast. In your own words, why should they attend S.O.A.R, and what makes it so beneficial?
Hattie, that's a really great question. I want to start by saying there's a big difference between requiring something and benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I make that designation is anybody could benefit from this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
A student who's between 16 and 21, which is our age range of transition that we're targeting, any 16 to 21-year-old could come here and benefit from something. They could benefit from the instruction, the social piece, the travel piece, guest speakers. Anybody would have a great time. But it comes down to who requires to come.
Right.
Regarding the individual who has the visual impairment, I always tell them, ask yourself the hard questions. Do you want to be a part of that 16% who's planning to get a college degree and move into the workforce? And do you want to be a part of that 32% of people who are legally blind that actually have a full-time job? Right?
Mm-hmm.
68% of people that are legally blind don't work. So I think you need to start by asking yourself the hard question. And then you asked a very good question about, well, why would it benefit them, right? This program is about gaining independence, confidence, and being efficient, right? You have to be able to do all of these things on your own because your TVI is not going to be around forever. Your O&M is not going to be around forever. And also your helicopter parents aren't going to be around forever, right? We
Right.
don't like the idea of young people having a plan to, I'm just going to live at home with my family, right? That's going to be really
Mm-hmm.
hard on dating and other social things if that is the plan moving forward. So the idea is ask yourself the hard questions. What types of things can you truly do from start to finish by your own? How are you going to label things in your home? How are you going to get the groceries that you need? How are you going to get to and from your job? Whether it's a job as a 16 or 18-year-old person or a job as a 25, 27-year-old person. So you
Hmm.
need to ask yourself those hard questions. And then you need to ask yourself, how do you want to be defined? Do you want to be defined as a person who is independent and confident and efficient? Or do you want to be defined as a person who relies on other
Hmm.
people and lacks that uh, potential self motivation to really take control of your own life?
Right. So a lot of people think that these type of programs are just regular summer camps, which they're not. But how do you balance the fun activities with teaching the actual independent living skills that participants need?
You are so right. We talk about SOAR being a program and not a camp.
Hmm.
And the idea is our participants have to come in with the mindset, I'm coming to learn. You also hear me say participants. Well, sometimes I say kids because everybody's, I will love to say you guys are all kids, but
Right.
the participants come because they have a plan. They have
Hmm.
a plan to come and acquire new skills. So this isn't just, hey, we want to introduce you to some things. No, we are going to promote you. We are going to support you. We are going to provide individualized instruction. We're going to look for tools and devices and adaptations that are going to get you to where you need to be. So
Right.
we really focus on the areas of strength as the whole person, right? Who you are as a person, your personality, your the extent of vision that you have or don't have, and then we want to tackle the domains of challenge. So we do this by balancing those social activities and by having you live independently in a dorm setting, so you can take that instruction and then learn to generalize, or another word might be to transfer or apply it to a given situation. So it doesn't matter what we can teach you in a 40-minute session or a 2-hour cooking lesson if you can't take it back with you and do
Right.
something with it. So we want to provide a very realistic, loving environment that promotes a person's confidence, promotes their safety, right? We can't guarantee safety. Same
Right.
thing with orientation mobility. I can't guarantee you're going to be safe, but I can say, hey, if I teach you how to handle this knife, it's going to promote the idea that you're not going to lop off a finger, right?
Right.
If we talk about a labeling system for your credit cards and debit cards and things like that, will a mistake be made at some point? Yes, but you at least have a system of organization and a plan to move forward.
Hmm. So, SOAR is known for bringing incredible instructors, and when I attended, the staff was absolutely amazing. Can you tell us a bit about, your staff and how you recruit them from all over the country and what makes them so special?
They are simply the best. That's it. I mean, they're
Hey, I can agree with
amazing.
that.
Yeah, they are amazing people. Every staff member, I'm not kidding when I say this, most would say, you don't even have to pay me for this job because they love it. There is
Mhm.
something ingrained in them about coming to this program for 21 days and pouring every ounce of professionalism they have into every single participant at the level they are. So I do recruit from all over the country. We have a lot of our former interns, both teachers of the visually impaired, orientation mobility specialists, who come back to be instructors. So I'm not as concerned about a degree or a license that
Mhm.
somebody may have. I care about their experience and can they take their passion for teaching and dump it into the 12 young people that come to us for 21 days. They have to have really, really high expectations. We have great partnerships with universities all over the country to send us interns. And also, this is competitive employment. We have an amazing residential staff. So we have
Mm.
4 college age young people who work really hard to make the residential program really assimilate with the instructional program and allow for that carryover and the generalization of skills to take place. So all of our jobs are given through a competitive application process. So the very things that we teach at SOAR about cover letters and resume writing and interviews, we have a really hard interview process, and then we just secure the best staff that we can get. And interestingly, we have a lot of staff that stick around, not only because they love the program, but because they see the outcomes. They see the hard work that the young people put in. They see their teaching being put into practice. And one staff member, Lori, has been with me since the beginning. She literally just finished her 20th year. And
Wow.
so a little shout out to Lori. Her commitment, just like Angie's, has been phenomenal.
Hmm.
And the Lighthouse and the Society also believe in us recruiting and retaining the best folks from all over the country. So we incur a little bit more cost flying them in, putting them up in housing at Webster. And again, we use Webster University because it's a great setting. We have a wonderful partnership, and we have a place to put staff, right? So they live in the apartments while the participants live in the dorms. So, we go after the best because you guys deserve the best. That's quite simply why we do what we do.
Yeah, the staff, when I was there, they were absolutely amazing. So, since the program is 3 weeks long, what is it like for you to watch the participants gain true confidence and independence from the first week to the last?
As the director, I'm a little bit more removed from the situation, right? My job is to steer the ship in the right direction, provide supports to my staff, be available for the participants if needed. But most of my perspective comes from the outside looking in. I do a lot of observation of my staff's teaching. I do a lot of listening to the participants. I try to collaborate with my staff, make sure things are running well. So, my job is to direct this program, and I rely on the instructors to be the experts there. And then I also have a residential coordinator who oversees the residential staff. And then my assistant, Heather, is one of the hardest working people that I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
And so I have a surrounding cast that takes this program to the next level. Um, what I do observe is a tremendous shift in self-determination. So self-determination, we talk about that about how do individuals feel about themselves, like deep in their heart, what do they believe about themselves and how do they feel about themselves? And that level of self-determination then blasts into self-advocacy. The advocacy piece is being able to promote yourself and talk about your wants, needs, desires, what accommodations, devices, tools are needed. You can't get to a level of advocacy without determining how you feel about yourself. So, from my perspective, I see that the most. I also have an incredible perspective of seeing how the participants begin to gauge their own learning. They can start to see the changes in themselves.
Mm.
And also because they're with 11 other people that have a visual impairment, they can kind of gauge themselves with other people. And I don't mean that in a negative, like competitive way, but to kind of look and say, wow, I thought I had things that were hard, but man, that guy's got more challenges than I do, right? Because a lot of people who come to our program, a lot of young people, visual impairment is not their only disabling condition. There's a lot of other people that have physical impairments, some struggles with emotional or mental health. We've had folks that have learning disabilities, hearing impairment. We have students come that are deaf-blind. So out of the 12 young people every year, it's really diverse. And so I get to just see this increased desire for independence. I get to observe young people reflecting about their realistic, real world. What's it going to be like when I'm out of my house? And what do I need to get myself there? So I have a really awesome perspective, and I just get to do a lot of celebrating and I eat a
Yeah.
ton of food. I get brought so many different meals and snacks, and I just have a great perspective because I get to see the joy of the program for both the instructors and the joy of the program for the people participating.
So, what is your vision for the future of S.O.A.R? And are there any specific activities that you hope to add to make the program even better?
First and foremost, shout out to the employees of the Lighthouse for the Blind. It is their hard work that earns the money through the Lighthouse for this program to happen. So if it wasn't for the actual employees at the Lighthouse and the vision of Eric, our president, this program wouldn't happen.
Hmm.
So First, I want to maintain the support of the board and the support of Eric to continue this program because it's wonderful. It
Yes.
is one of the kind. We try to help people all over the country to develop programs like ours, which actually happens. And in fact, one of my instructors and I are getting ready to go next week to go present at an international conference about this program.
Oh, wow.
I also plan to maintain a really great staff. I plan to recruit the residential staff, the young college age mentors, to be really dynamic people that know how to bring bravery out and to promote that level of confidence. I want to continue to identify 12 young people that really need our help. Our goal is to bring people to this program that need instructional help. Again, it's a program, not a camp. I could bring anybody in here and they'd have fun, but
Right.
I want to find people that want to better themselves, to challenge themselves. And then, again, maintain partnerships with our community partners. The St. Louis Society for the Blind has been partnering with us for 20 years. We have other community organizations like the Mary Culver Home, the Cardinals Baseball. We just have the Arch has been a great partnership this year. We started a really good partnership with the St. Louis Zoo. So we're going to keep building on those community partnerships, keep changing the lives of young people and families, and then how to make the program better. I just want to remain responsive to the 12 participants that come. We provide a survey at the end of the program to say, what did you like? What can we do better?
Hmm.
If you had to pick three things to keep and three things to get rid of, what would they be and why? So I feel like we're very responsive on a yearly basis. Again, we work very hard to maintain a really collaborative relationship with the instructors and the kids, and then also the family. So every family will get a survey. Actually, they just went out last week, and we really care about what changed with your participant from when you dropped them off to when you picked them up,
Hmm.
right? And how can we do things better? And you better have done your survey too. So
I did.
anyway, but our goal our goal is to be responsive. We want to blast into the future. We want to remain very aware of new tools, devices, technologies that are going to promote the lives of individuals who live with vision loss.
Love that. To wrap things up, is there anything else that you would like to say to the audience?
Well, first, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure to come and talk about SOAR. Um, Ultimately, what I want listeners to hear, whether it's an individual with vision loss, family member, I know statistics look hard on paper sometimes, but you have to put yourself out there and take a chance. You really have to work on your self-determination skills about who you are and what your transition plan looks like. I encourage the young people to really spend time with their IEP team to make sure they're developing a really good plan to blast them into adulthood. The K-12 system, meaning services within high school, are very, very different than when you get into the work environment. The
Hmm.
Missouri Rehab Services for the Blind, commissions for the blind, doesn't matter what state. By the way, we take applicants from any state, right? We focus on Missouri residents, but we continue to branch out because we want to find people to help. But every state has an adult based service provider, but it's nothing like the K-12 system. So I encourage your listeners, if you are a student in high school, take advantage of those services as much as you can. Academics are really important, but that's great if you're wonderful inside the classroom. But if you can't find your way to the classroom, or when you get there and you're a hot mess because you don't have good self-care skills, or you're not able to take notes on your own, then that is where those statistics pop in. So keep pushing yourself, maintain high expectation for yourself. If you want to learn more about our program, you can go to our website. There's an audio described video that you can watch. There's a sample of our schedule. You're always welcome to shoot me an email. My email is SOAR, SOAR, at lhbindustries.com. You can find our website on the lhbindustries.com /SOAR, and just reach out to us. And the other thing is reach out to people like Addie here, people who've come through the program, and help you figure out if it's a good
Mhm.
program for you to consider in the future.
Definitely. Well, Kevin, thank you for joining me today. It was great having you on the podcast.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
And to all my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 54. If you have any questions, feedback, or ideas, you can comment down below or send me an email. My email is theworldasIseeitpodcast@gmail.com. Stay curious, keep listening, and I will talk to you in episode 55. You've been listening to the World as I See It podcast.